All right, there we go. Let's play some music and get it on tonight. Jack, how many of your fan club members are coming on?
Hopefully all of them.
I swear, you're the most popular guy on this show, and rightfully so. But let's play the music. We'll talk about it on the other side. Jack, I heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but I heard that you might be the starting quarterback this week at Bishop Sycamore.
They reached out to me, but I unfortunately had to turn them down due to the fact that I was not old enough to be on the team, unfortunately.
I think you got to be 21 plus.
Oh, you got to be. Yeah, I had heard some rumors. Now, I'm not a Panthers or a Cam Newton fan, but I heard some rumors that Cam Newton might have been called today.
Who knows, man?
That's too much, too soon, Cam. I heard the best, and again, I'm not a Cam Newton fan, but I don't dislike him either. But I did hear the best quote today on TV regarding him. It said that your level of distraction cannot exceed your level of production, and that summed up Cam Newton, at least here in the last little bit.
Agreed. I heard he had a lot of stuff with breaking the COVID protocols and stuff and not following that stuff. So kind of sucks to see that happen to him.
Yeah. Well, Dina, how's everything going in your neck of the woods today?
Going really good. I mean, we're going to be really busy this week with not only high school football, but we got several of our local colleges starting to kick off. So
ding, ding, ding. I'm happy about that.
So busy time.
Yeah, I am. I'm not avoiding you guys. As you can imagine, right now, I just got a text message. Anybody want to have an idea what this text message is?
A game just got canceled.
Coach is asking for games.
Yeah.
Wow, guys.
I get all confused. I'm like, now somebody will reach out and I'm like, well, so and so said they needed one, or trying to play matchmaker, Chris, and we even got coaches from South Carolina contacting us because a lot of these schools are right along the border and they're trying to find games as well. So we're more than happy to try to help our high schools find a game. I mean, I don't even see any point of putting a schedule out because why type it up when several of them was going to be changed or something at the last moment or something.
Yeah. Well, I just got off the phone with a good friend of mine down in an AD down in the eastern part of the state, and he was reaching out, and he asked me. He said, "Well, don't you have a list?" And I said, "Coach, I've tried to put together a list. In fact, I've tweeted out, please let me know." And as I know you and a lot of people have, but so many of these coaches are kind of acting in secrecy trying to find games because they don't want it getting out that they're looking, or maybe putting people in panic mode regarding the other team. So there's a lot of kind of just hush hush in conjunction with all this, which is making it so much harder. If we could just say, hey, here's a list on the message boards or something, put your game here, and then we could kind of help people out, but they won't even do that. So it's been kind of tough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we had a good week of football. Most of the teams played. We still got some teams that haven't played a game yet this year. I know St. Paul's haven't. Holmes, Westover. There's a handful of teams. Ashbrook is supposedly going to play their first game this week against West Lincoln, who lost their game. Who all did you guys see this weekend? Anybody go out and see some football?
Yes, I went to East Duplin to watch East Duplin versus Princeton, and that was a great game. Two of the better 2A Eastern teams around me. Princeton won by 6. It was a back and forth game, actually a pretty high scoring game. Princeton won on the road. Their running back Jaden Brooks had his second. I think he had around 250 yards in that game. He had 400 yards in the first game, and he's had 3 touchdowns apiece in both games. So he's been doing really well. So I got to see those two good teams play.
I watched the stream of the Panther Creek Leesville game, and it was cool to see Leesville take that win against Panther Creek. Definitely.
Very surprising in how it turned out. Not surprising that they won, but just in the fact that they won 45-0. I mean, that was a blowout of a really good Panther Creek team. So I'm kind of surprised to see that. Who did you see, Dina?
Well, I saw my team, but Chelsea, I was wanting to know, what was your thoughts on number 5, Bo Atkinson, the defensive end that has committed to North Carolina? What was your thoughts on him?
He's awesome. He's actually a player I've been wanting to interview. I just think he's a great athlete. Does good on the O-line.
He's kind of hard to miss. He is like 6'7".
They kind of nickname. He's cut his hair, but they used to call him kind of like Thor because he had so long big blonde hair. I called him when we were doing recruiting articles. I kind of called him Sunshine off the Titans, you know. But yeah, I was at Star Mountain and watched Star Mountain defeat Community School of Davison. I won't be going to a game this week because my other duties, I've got to help with the coverage of the Tar Heels versus the Hokies. So
I'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, hey, speaking of your local game, Dina, we got a question already on the site here from our friend Jeff Banner down in Statesville. What's your thoughts on the big Star Mount Forbush game? Because Forbush is really good.
Star Mount has dominated the series. I believe it's like 41-12, but Coach Jeremy Funderburk has done a great job there at Forbush. He had them undefeated season earlier this year until the playoffs. So he's got a lot of experience back for Forbush. And, you know, I know my Star Mount colleagues and everything might not like what I say, but I think Forbush, based on experience and what they got coming back, may defeat my Rams this year just because, I mean, I think we have Stormy has like 4 or 5 seniors. They're young. They're coming along. They got their first win, but Forbush, they've got, they're one of the favorites in that conference. So, like I said, Jeremy has done really good down there in his second season, starting his second season there at Forbush.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I've seen some film and just some conversation with some of the coaches. A lot of guys seem to think that Forbush may very well be able to contend with East Surrey now and play them head to head for that conference. So a really good team out there this year. So happy for Coach Funderburk. Dina, we've got our big guest on tonight. You want to announce to everybody who's going to be joining us?
Yeah, we're going to have Julius Chambers, wide receiver, class of 2023, Kevin Concepcion, who was a big star in the Cougars win up in Virginia at Highland Springs, one of the top football programs up there in Virginia and Chambers. I got to do a little bragging rights. North Carolina went up there and beat Virginia. So welcome, Kevin, to the show.
All right. Welcome.
Hello,
to the
everybody.
show,
Thank you for
Kevin.
having me.
So, Kevin, I gave you a big intro. You had 7 catches for 170 yards and 2 big touchdowns. What was it like, the environment up there? Highland Springs, great program, had a packed house up there. You guys played up there on a Saturday and had to wait a little bit because things kept pushing back because of the weather. But what was the atmosphere up there?
The atmosphere was very amazing. The band was playing, the stadium was packed. So I mean, when a big atmosphere is like that, I mean, the best thing that I could do was go out and just play for my teammates.
Now, you had 2 big touchdowns. Um, what kind of play was it? Was it where you just used your? We know you're a speedy receiver. Did you just juke somebody and take off running, or how was that?
So the first touchdown that I had, I caught a hitch, and then I split the wheel linebacker and the safety, and then I ran it for 87 yards. And then on the second touchdown, I had a seam route, and then I took that one for 70 yards.
Kevin, with your big performance this week, you actually won the NCPreps Player of the Week. Talk about what this means, not just this award, but starting to get the recognition that you deserve around the state and what that means to you.
I mean, I'm just really taking it. I'm just really taking it day by day. I mean, I'm finally on the big screen now, so I mean, the most that I can really do is just keep on pushing and keep on going.
Kevin, you're class of 23, and today being September 1st, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of love from colleges. Just talk a bit about your recruiting process.
My recruiting process has been pretty good. I mean, really just taking it day by day. I mean, I've had quite a few schools reach out to me today, sending me graphics, like inviting me to games, being able to text and call. So I mean, I really appreciate it.
This weekend, a lot of games are starting. Have you got any plans on where you're gonna head this weekend or for a game?
Tomorrow, App State is having a game at the Panther Stadium.
They're playing East Carolina. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna head up there. NC State games, UNC Chapel Hill games, Coastal Carolina games. I mean, it's a whole lot of games this year, and I'm really excited to go see all the games.
I got a question. I actually saw y'all's Chambers team play at Cardinal Gibbons in the first week of the season, and the culture of the team is probably unlike any other team in the state. Talk about the energy around the team and just the brotherhood that you guys have.
I mean, like, all of my teammates are my brothers. Like, we're always laughing, we're always playing, we're always joking around, but like, when it comes to game time, we know that's game time where we're hyping the locker room, we're listening to songs, we're locked in on the way to the game. So I mean, it's really been a brotherhood all 3 of my years here.
Hey, Kevin, I was going to ask you how, a team that's won back-to-back championships, obviously such a close brotherhood, as you mentioned, and really a very talented football team as well. And you've played exceptional teams already to this point in the season, but just how competitive and how much fun are the practices every day? Because I imagine when you got a team like you guys have and the talent you guys have, the practices are probably really fun to be a part of.
Yeah, practice. Sometimes offense goes out there and we do our thing. Sometimes defense goes out there and they do their thing. So I mean, like, it's really unpredictable about what's gonna happen at practice. But But I mean, like we always have a fun time competing. We do board drills. I mean, it's like a fun time at practice. I just really like competing with my teammates.
Well, Kevin, thank you for joining us tonight, and best wishes to you and your teammates there, with the rest of the Cougars, and best of luck on your recruitment as well. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. That's
you.
Kevin Concepcion. Man, he is. I saw him in that state championship game seems like last year. It was only a couple months ago, but he put on a show, and to watch him already, so good. He's certainly got a future.
Chambers had so many weapons. I mean, they got him, and they got Hollywood, Dalen Smothers, and I mean, it's pick your poison. Do you want to try to stop the run? And they hit Concepcion and their other good wide receivers, or try to shut them down and let Hollywood run over you. So Coach Farabee's got a great thing going on there at Chambers. And like I said, it is North Carolina got some good bragging rights of, one of their best going up against Virginia and coming away with a 24-13 win on the road.
I mean, obviously, at this point, us sitting here trying to break down games is kind of questionable because we never know who's going to play and who's not going to play, given all the scenario and the current situation with these COVID pauses. But assuming they play, Glenn is heading down to Chambers to be the first home game of the year for Chambers down there. Glenn had that big win over Lee County Friday night, 41-13, and that's a team as well that's just loaded with some top-tier talent. That's going to be a big game.
Yeah. I think two very talented teams. It's just like, is anybody in the state on the same level as Chambers right now? It's going to be interesting to see how well – because, I mean, Gibbons did fight back later in the game, but in the first 2 quarters and a half, I mean, you could just tell Chambers was the better team. So I'm interested to see how Glenn does for Chambers' first home game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Chambers, they're so good on both sides of the ball. So I know we're talking. Don't get ahead of ourselves, but it's gonna be some good games. When we get to that point. So, let's talk about some other big performances. Omari and Hampton had a huge game against Rose.
Big game.
That was hyped up to be a battle between two of the best running backs in the class of 2022, Michael Allen, who's committed to State, and Hampton at UNC. And, Cleveland, they got it rolling. Hampton, he had a big game. So shout out to Amari and Hampton and his Cleveland Rams teammates on that big impressive win. I didn't think it would be that bad. I know you didn't, Chris.
No, I thought it was going to be a good game, and I was watching the game on the little Red Zone channel that the OT guys produce, which is pretty cool, by the way. But I was watching that and kind of going back and forth between some of them other games, and he just kind of sliced his way through that defense. And I hate to say some high school kids didn't want anything to do with him, but I'm going to tell you, those defensive guys look like they wanted nothing to do with Amari and Hampton, and as full of a head of steam as he had, it was some tough running, no doubt.
Well, I'd like to know what is in the water at Hopton. I mean, shoot. I'm thinking I'm seeing basketball scores when they play. Averaging 80 some points a game.
Yeah. But you look at Joe Salas, who's been running air raid stuff, and he's kind of one of those godfathers of the air raid. He and Mike Leach and all these guys that kind of go way back within this creation of the air raid. They've been running it forever, and of course George Coltharp as well is kind of one of these guys. They run classes, they teach coaches on the air raid. So I mean, these are two full-fledged, just thorough understanding coaches of that system. They know how to teach it. They know kind of every ins and outs. And, that is what they do. And they've kind of built how they run that team around scoring points. Now, granted, I don't think they're playing a whole lot of defense. But when you're scoring points like that, I'm not going to say they don't play defense. They have some situational defense in times of the games where they come up and make some big stops. But it's like gas pedal down the whole way just in how they scheme. They got that really good quarterback and Loden Bradshaw, who I think had touchdowns to 6 different guys, and had the running back. I can't even think of his name now, but he had a big game as well, about 225 yards on the ground. They are just fun to watch. I mentioned this on another program, but I think that they are going to absolutely rewrite the record book, at least for points scored by a single team in a season, because it's just unreal what they're doing.
Yeah, the funniest thing was the week 1 game they played Midway, and it was like 85-73, 81-73, something like that.
80-73, yep.
Yeah. And then the next week, Midway went down and played South Brunswick and lost 33-0.
Yeah, it's amazing. Again, it kind of comes down to defense. South Brunswick's got some good linemen, and they're a physical team. And when you build a team that's a little bit more finesse, and then all of a sudden you go up against a tough physical team, we see it every year with teams like Charlotte Catholic. These guys, and Mount Pleasant, and West Lincoln's one of them. Schools that you typically see guys roll up scoring 25, 35, 45 a game, and then they face teams like that, and all of a sudden it gets tough really quick, and it's just a style of play. But it's fun to watch those teams. There ain't no question about that.
Yeah.
We got a couple comments here, guys. I just want to throw them out here before we move on further. Our friend Roy Goodman is back. He is up there in Indiana. He covers high school sports up there. Roy, we appreciate you checking us in. And actually, it looks like Roy sent us another question. So do you guys go around the state to watch games or just watch them on recordings? Did I ask that right? Great job by 4 of you. Well, I think it's a little bit of both, Roy. I know that all of us go and see games. I've been seeing games my whole life. Right now with the COVID situation, and I certainly think that I've seen more games in the past year recorded or live streamed, and a lot of you guys probably have as well. But I think we all do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, this season, I think I've been able to see more games in live. Just because last season, sometimes it was hard to get them for media because they only had a certain amount of people for media. Now this year, you just have to walk up with your awesome badge with the NCPreps logo on it, and you get in the game. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to use that as a perfect segue to talk about the game you went to. You mentioned earlier you saw East Duplin and Princeton. Epic game. I mean, I can just tell about the scoring back and forth. It was a good game. I see you have an interview with one of the players afterwards. Who did you talk to?
So I talked to Jaden Brooks, running back at Princeton, and he was he was one of those players that he didn't know me, but when he was on the sideline, he was just like somebody fun to be around. He definitely had fun playing the game. First play of the game, he takes it 80 yards to the house against East Duplin, and you could tell okay, this guy's good because he had 400 yards the previous week. And I talked to somebody, and he said he got on camera him saying, on the sideline after he had gotten another big run, that he was the best running back in JoCo. And you know who else is in JoCo? So he's definitely a character, and he was a lot of fun to watch. I think he had 200 yards plus and 3 touchdowns against East Duplin.
Okay, well, cool. Well, let's check out your video.
Brooks from the Princeton East Duplin game, covering with NCPreps. Princeton just got a huge win to move to 2-0 on the season against a good East Duplin team. What does it mean to go out here on the road and get a win against a good team?
It meant a lot. If we was doing bad at first, then we got the momentum again. It meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
To all the seniors.
Yeah. Y'all's offense was clicking all night. What did you see on the field that kind of opened up some holes for you?
Well, they was committing too much to the outside run, so we just ran up the middle.
Yeah.
So we had to switch it up.
Yeah. You play. This is a relatively small school, so you're playing 2 sides on the ball, which is pretty tough. What keeps you going through the game? Even I know you get tired playing on both sides of the ball.
My teammates.
Yeah.
Hey, not one.
Not two.
But three of them things. Three of them things.
He like that.
Hey, chill. That was O-line. That's O-line. They did that.
Next week you guys play a good Rosewood team. Talk about that's a pretty close rivalry between y'all two. Talk about a win against that team to move on 3-0 would be.
That'd be great. We know it's gonna be a hard-fought game because they're a good team too.
Awesome. Good job.
Wow, I'm glad you mentioned that Rosewood game because that is this week. That's going to be a big time game. It was a conference game. Now Princeton moved up, and that game had even been back and forth the past several years with those two schools going at it. So that's another one of the kind of the matchups I've kind of got circled this week.
Yeah, there's something about when I do an interview, kids that are also on the team pop in during the interview and say something encouraging. So I think that always adds a flair to the interview.
They know that you're fun, and that's pretty cool. Looks like Roy actually said thank you for our comments. There you go. And looks like he just sent another follow-up. What is the biggest football game you got a high school fan should watch this season in North Carolina? I would watch any game you can because you never know when you're going to be stopped due to this crazy COVID situation.
That's true.
I don't know. It's just so hit or miss, guys, and I'll certainly take your input. But
I know there's one on the schedule that a lot of people would really wish would happen, and it's not on the schedule. But I know everybody in Greensboro wants to see Dudley and Grimsley play because they had a little Twitter war on Twitter of going back and forth and stuff. But you never know with this COVID, that game could possibly be on the schedule if
It could.
things happen. I mean, people are just, like we said at the beginning, they're just scrambling for games. I mean, and we're trying to help as much as we can, but it's constantly changing. I mean, last Friday I got a text. I'm sure you did too, Chris, about Drone, and then Mount Airy and East Surrey got canceled, and it kind of felt like I put the Drone Mount Airy game on Saturday together because everybody was that they were needing games, and so that was probably smart, on such short notice not to play on Friday, to play it on Saturday to give some kind of maybe possible scouting report or something on the other teams. Of course, Mount Airy won really big over Drone, but hey, give Drone credit for trying to, because they were desperately needing games, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, and Mount Pleasant. Here's another one that I just helped put together today. They're going to play Walkertown tomorrow or Friday, or Thursday, I think it might be. That's a big game. Two good two-way programs. That game, you're right, it didn't work out that well for Drone. I see where East Surrey is going to play East Wilkes this week. I think East Surrey was supposed to play West Oaks, but now they're going to play East Wilkes. And I think East Wilkes is a pretty tough team. That's two Cardinals going head to head. It's going to be hard to keep track
I think
of
they scrimmage. I think they scrimmaged earlier, and it was a good scrimmage. So it'll be a good test for both teams, because East Wilkes has been playing pretty well the first 2 weeks, and of course you know how East Surrey they're coming off 3 straight trips to state championships. So Coach Lowman has got another good team over in Pilot Mountain.
He sure does. Hey, we got another comment, guys. Our friend John Vestal writes, talking about defense, we, South Granville, actually played Heritage pretty tough, gave up some big plays. I saw that. And Heritage is a really, really good 4A team. So great performance there by your Vikings. And you probably got outclassed a little bit by talent and numbers, which is understandable. But I thought you guys played really well. Got another comment right here by Daniel Paxley. It's still very early in the season, but what big surprises have you noticed across the state, whether it's just games or how programs are doing in general? Jack?
I think the biggest surprise has to be Roseville being 0-2. I mean, I don't think anybody predicted that going into this season. Arguably, supposed to be the best team in the East and maybe a top 3 team in the state has dropped both of their games. And they've lost to good teams, but I don't think anybody expected them to be 0-2 going the season with the talent that they have.
You said Roseville?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Roseville, but I also Greenville Rose, two
Both
other teams.
of those.
I couldn't tell which one you said, but you're right. Rose has kind of been a surprising one. On the flip side, Pinecrest, they've kind of had a good start,
Surprisingly good.
Absolutely. I don't know, Dina, what's some surprises you've seen?
Well, I'm still trying to, I'm trying to keep up and everything, but East Forsyth, you talked about Roseville, Coach Willard always has a good team, and they beat Roseville, who was a top team and everything, and so he's got another great team, and it's just going to be interesting to see. I mean, we're heading into week 3, so I'm still in the just evaluating stuff. 2 weeks is still a little early for me to be. I mean, pick a surprising team, because we're still trying to fill things out and everything.
Yeah. Chelsea, any thoughts from you? Any teams that you see that's maybe jumped out at you?
That Leesville Panther Creek game that I mentioned earlier, that win, and then kind of like Jack said, Rolesville 0-2 isn't something I'd expect this early in the season. I think maybe 1-1, but to start 0-2 early in the season, I still think they're a great team. Played good competition, so I wouldn't diminish their value too much, but definitely surprised me.
Did any of you see or think that we get to week 3 and there still be some teams that haven't played a game yet?
I probably would have said yes, but I didn't know it was going to be this many. How many teams do you think have been that haven't played yet?
Well, about 4 or 5 that I've expected to play. There's still some teams in the eastern part of the Northeast area that have not played a game. I'm still a little uncertain about the status of a couple 1A programs that I've just not seen a lot of action out of.
Columbia is supposed to play their first game this week, I think.
Who's that?
Columbia.
Yeah, and they're playing 8-man as well as Mattamuskeet.
Mm-hmm.
But I've not heard a lot. I thought that I heard Northwest Halifax was playing a game, but I'm not sure if they've got it off. I know that Kip Pride has struggled with numbers. Rocky Mountain Prep. I have not heard anything about Weldon or North Southeast Halifax. I know that the 2 Columbus schools, West and East Columbus, have also I think struggled to get games. So, there's still some teams out there that we've not really got a lot of information out of, that also most of these teams didn't even play in the spring as well. So you got to worry at this point. You really, I think it's, if you're an AD or a principal or a coach at these schools, I think you got to start worrying about participation and numbers, because if you go a season, 2 seasons without fielding the team, I think it's just going to zap the energy out of your program. But it also something that I'm still big on, and Jack, I know you probably are. I would love to see some of these small schools revert and start playing 8-man football. The state association has allowed it. Mattamuskeet and Columbia are doing it. I think there's some other programs in the state.
It's going to revive programs.
Yeah, you think of a South Davidson or a Rosman or there's some schools, maybe some of the Stoke schools, that I think could thrive in an 8-man scenario and maybe make it a little bit more fair for them.
Well, last week, Starmount played community school. Davidson, they didn't have a JV. They had probably 35 on varsity. And, you got freshmen that are not used to, possibly playing at a varsity level. And so numbers. We're getting JV requests too. So there's a lot of programs that are not even having JV teams, and that has to kind of hurt your program building. Um, to try to get your numbers. I mean, overall, I think the numbers have been pretty much down everywhere, but um, it's good to have a JV program because it's better for the kids to play freshmen playing freshmen again instead of freshmen. Now, I'm not saying freshmen can't play varsity because we obviously know there are some phenoms that are freshmen that can play at the level because of the development of skill development in some of these areas in the state, these combines and training facilities and trainers and stuff. So um, it's not totally out of the picture of freshmen playing and possibly being really good on varsity, but I still think that's a learning phase for freshmen to play against freshmen and sophomores.
No, I totally get that. I agree. We'll keep our eyes open. We'll just kind of continue to monitor and see what happens. Um, Chelsea, I'm not trying to leave you out tonight. I know you had a big interview, real big interview coming up. What? Tell everybody who you spoke with tonight.
Yeah, so I was able to hop on a Zoom with David's commit, Saban McLaughlin Jr., who is a running back at Hickory Ridge High School. Just talked to him about his commitment, how his season's been going, everything around that.
Great, great. Well, let's listen to the video, and we'll talk to you on the other side.
Simple from NCPreps, and today I have Saban McLaughlin Jr., who is a class of 2022 running back for Hickory Ridge High School and is also a Davidson commit. So my first question for you is, you guys are currently 1-1. Just kind of open up and talk about how your season has been going so far, that win and loss.
So far, regardless of the loss, I'm really loving the way my team has come this year and how we changed since the spring season. Me and my coach preach to the team, and the captains, we preach to the team every day that it's not the same team from this past year. And I feel like we come in knowing that we belong in any game we play, and we come in more hype and not flat like we did last year. I'm really loving the bond and the team that we have this year. We're much more of a family. We all connect more. It's just that we're building a big bond that's gonna, I think, take us far.
I like that. And so just kind of go into further depth about those first two game performances.
First game, I was really proud of my running backs, the O-line, and I'm really proud of those younger guys that really stepped up. We blew them out 68-13, so it was a good chance for like all those younger guys, the people like the JV guys that are coming up, and like the third string, second string, to really get their film out and show coach that they belong in the varsity game too, and they can compete with any team too. I was really proud of the youngins that came up, showed out, all running back scored. Everybody got in the box. It was just all a good feeling to know that everybody scored. We just came out really good. It was a really good game. Charlotte Catholic came. We know how it was coming into that game, but we know came in more hype than them. We actually was competing with them. I had scored 2 touchdowns. It was 13-17 at the half. We felt like we competing with a 4 times reigning state championship team. We were feeling really good. The score was low from 13-17. We felt like we had a chance, but things just went downhill. We just got to execute more in the second half and stuff like that, and just build on that adversity and learn how to, just finish what we started. We came in like a dog. We need to finish like a dog and not step off the gas pedal.
Awesome. And you are a Davidson commit. So just talk a bit about what about the program made you feel at home and your commitment overall.
What really made me feel like home is Coach Abel. He's building a really big family, a really big thing at Davidson. When I first stepped foot on campus for a camp, they actually haven't even offered me yet. They all knew my name. I never been to a camp where a head coach had known my name, knew all about me, knew what school I went to. It just, the environment I came in, and just when I came in, all the coaches knew my name, even graduate assistants, trainers. I just felt like a part of the family as soon as I got there. Especially at this time, I was really thankful for the opportunity, knowing that COVID hit, that 2022s were a lot impacted than any other class. Because the junior year, I felt like they really took a chance on me because there's a lot of spots that's going away in 2022. And the fact that they offered me during this time really showed that they really care about me and that they really think I can be a big part of their school. Me and my mom also went up there for a visit, and we love the facility because we used to be a Davidson family. We used to stay up there in Davidson, so we know all about the culture around there, the fans. We just, kind of built up and grew up there. So I really love it.
Awesome. And kind of discuss some of your personal goals your senior season and some of your team goals also.
Of course, we're trying to at least make it to that state championship, get a ring,
Yeah.
everybody get a ring. But really just playing as a family and just playing the best we can be. That's really all that matters. Our goal is just build up on how we did last year. Is always just take a foot closer and a step closer to our goal that we want. And that's to be state champions. But we only are going to get it if we put our best foot forward.
I like that. And as an athlete, what are some things that kind of push you on the field and keep you motivated?
Some of the things that push me on the field is my family, especially my mom, knowing that she has to deal with 4 kids every day by herself sometimes, it just really hits me knowing that I got to do this for my mom. I don't want her struggling or anything like that. I want her to be stress-free when I'm older. That's really pushed me for my game. Don't want her paying a dime. That's really all I want for my mom. And, just to make my fam happy.
Awesome. And finally, kind of describe yourself as an athlete, your game on, or, even as a person off the field.
Off the field, I describe myself as a leader and a person that's going to push other people to do their best. On the field, I'll say I'm more of like a do-it-all type of guy. I can play on defense. I can come down and hit. I can cover. I can play running back at times. I can play receiver. I can block and stuff like that. I'm really like I say a Debo Samuel type of guy. I can hurt you on like a jet sweep and also can hurt you in the air. I'm pretty a big stocky kid too, like weighing in 195. So I'll be able to like hit those linebackers, hit those DNs, stuff like that with no problem. Be able to break tackles, and I also have a really good speed where I can get open and make plays in the air. I also have a dominance catching, and I can jump and stuff like that. So that really helps out in the game.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you so much for hopping on, and I look forward to seeing how your season progresses.
Hey, great job, Chelsea. I think we lost Jack, but one of the takeaways I had from that interview, he seemed like a really mature guy. I could, just seems to be a little bit more wise beyond his years.
He was really well spoken.
Davidson can't beat that. Get one of the top educations in the country and play some football. So, sound like a great young man. Plays for a great team there at Hickory Ridge. Coach Wilson done a great job there for the Raging Bulls.
For sure.
Yeah, great job. Well, we lost Jack, but his picture's not back on. I don't know if his camera's connected. Looks like he's trying to get on again. I don't know if we're having some technical issues tonight. And while we're waiting on him, actually, I think we are back, but got a couple more questions come in. John Vestal says 2A is hard to find JV games. Most of South Grantsville's conference teams don't have JV. I can feel that. I certainly understand that. And Roy once again says, is there a football program in the state that you'd like to see in the state finals that has come close but has fell short over the years to get to a state finals? Oh, man, there's a lot of teams that could fit into that one, Dina.
Well, I mean, I'm going to look at it as coaches. One couple guys that I'd love to see win one is
Richard Bailey.
Richard Bailey. I just went, my brain froze there. Richard Bailey, Adrian Stowe. Let me see.
Yep. I think of Kings Mountain, they've gotten to the third
Greg
or fourth
Lloyd,
round really for quite a few times, just never have gotten over that hump. So Kings Mountain's kind of a team that I think of in that light that are just right there on the edge, but just ain't quite done it yet. And even more and more years to go by. Brian Teal in Richmond, he's kind of getting there as well. But these guys knocking on the door every year.
I feel like
Yeah,
Newburn's creeping up.
Say that again.
I feel like Newbern is creeping up to state championship contenders.
They are. I think Newbern's having a good year. They got a really good chance. Really good chance.
But as far as team, I don't know. That's something. Chris, you historical guy, knows who's been so close but hadn't won one.
Yeah, my heart's going to be with that South Rowan team. They haven't quite gotten there. They won a D2 championship, which ain't really the same as a D1. But
Yeah,
still,
that's back in the really old days.
Yeah, no kidding.
I tell people, I was like, when people start fussing about pairings and the playoff brackets, I was like, what if you like when I was in school they were predetermined.
Yeah.
I mean, my Storm Mount Rams couldn't get past Newton Conover for 3 years. We met them in the second round every year and stuff.
I remember that. I remember the predetermined bracket so well that when I was at South Rowan coaching, we every year, about the last week or two of the season, you'd have scouts from other teams at our school looking because they knew that they were going to play a certain team. Like every year, like the number 2 CPC team would play like the number 3 North Piedmont team or Metro team or something. So you always would see those same coaches every year showing up at your game to scout back in the days where you used to have scouts that went to games. You don't really see that much anymore.
Yeah. Well, with it back to 4 state championships, that percentage kind of shrinks, because let's be honest, there's been some teams dominating in when these subdivisions and stuff. So, maybe we might see some really dandy games if we get that far.
If we get that far, the playoffs are going to be off the chain. It's going to be unbelievable.
And like, in the old days when you had all 4 of the games at one side, and like with the media people, now we have to pick and choose where we want to go. I mean, there might be a good one at Wake Forest now it used to be BB&T, and then a really good game in Raleigh. There might be. So, back in the old days, you could go Friday and watch a Friday night. They had 1 game on Friday night, and then 3 on Saturday, and it was like a high school football fanatic's dream. Just sitting and most of it was at Keenan back then. Just spending a whole day in Chapel Hill watching football. I've done it plenty of times and enjoyed it.
And I hope that when the association announces the sites that they're all at one. I really hope that would be the case. I don't know that it will, but I can hope because I know that I'll be there. I know we all will probably be there, as well as all of our good friends. So it'll kind of be a reunion.
We can get an NCPreps team picture if we're all there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm about out of info for tonight. Chelsea, you've kind of been quiet tonight. What's going on in Chelsea's world?
No, I've been up since 5:50 this morning. So gone through school, gone through clubs, did my own workouts.
I was getting ready to put an APB out on Jack. I couldn't. I sent him message, and finally he's like, rough first week of school. So you get an excuse, okay?
Yeah, and so I had a fishing trip planned with my uncle and grandpa and my dad and my cousin in Manio this weekend, with like the Outer Banks, and because my uncle is a boat captain, and so we got on the boat to go fishing, and we got about halfway to our destination, and we looked behind us, and there's this huge storm, and that morning there was a 10% chance of rain, and we couldn't go because we didn't want to be on the water with lightning. So
it won't be Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, so that was but I think I'm going to Hoggard Wake Forest Friday. I think that's the game that I'm going to go to.
That is a smash mouth football dream. That game right there. That'll be a tough game. Hey, I just noticed. I got a green screen behind me, and when I drink my Sundrop can in front of a green screen, it looks black.
I just noticed that. I was gonna say you get a limited edition can.
I was like, wow, that's cool.
Special
Platinum edition Sundrop.
I drink so much that they send me the real good stuff. The stuff with the real sugar, not the fake stuff. Well, Dina, that's it for me. Any final words of wisdom for us before we depart?
Well, I just want to send some prayers out to Mount Tabor. They had a tragedy today, and I just wanted to let everybody in Spartan Nation know that everybody's thinking about you guys and we're thinking about you and praying about that whole community, because it's really a sad situation today.
Here, I agree. Good deal. And I've texted a little bit with Coach Tyshawn Brown as well. Good to hear that he's okay, and his players, and just thoughts out to the family and those that's really affected. So good stuff, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody. Great show as always. Even John Vestal agrees. And we'll do it again next week. Same back time, same back channel. Chelsea and Jack, I have no idea what back time on that channel means, but I'm sure Dina knows.
Pow, 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 pow. Yeah. Go watch some old Batman shows.
All right. I'll come back next show knowing what it means.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good week. Bye, everybody.
Rockin'